When ancient formations fall and divine flames awaken, a single battle can decide the fate of an entire realm. Today, a nascent soul cultivator challenges a fire sage who commands a transformed spirit dragon. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. Hanli sat cross-legged within the meditation chamber on the second floor of the building. His eyes were tightly shut, his expression calm and unmoving, while streams of azure light slowly seeped from his body, rising and falling with his breathing like faint glimmering tides. His hands were locked in a strange incantation seal. Hovering just above his palm was an egg-sized sphere of purple flame, wavering gently as if alive, its flickering light never once extinguishing. This devilish flame was something Hanli had personally refined, forged from the fusion of the celestial ice flames and the glacial ki of the six-winged frost centipede. Its might surpassed the original celestial ice flames by an entire cultivation stage, making it his most fearsome killing move at present. This purple devil flame had been gradually formed after Hanli refined a fragment of the celestial ice flames. To distinguish it from the sacred azura flames, he had named it the purple apex flames. Hanli was firmly convinced that if these flames were to latch onto the body of even a late-stage nascent soul cultivator, resistance would be nearly impossible. As for whether it could truly claim their life, there was no way to know without testing it in battle. Unfortunately, despite its terrifying power, the purple apex flames were severely limited by the amount of celestial ice flames he could refine. If he were able to gather several times his current quantity, he might truly gain the strength to contend openly against late nascent soul cultivators. From deep within his consciousness, Silvermoon clicked her tongue in astonishment. "Congratulations, Master. It seems I underestimated the purple apex flames. Their power already exceeds expectations, and their future potential is even greater." Hanli silently smiled, drawing in a slow breath. He compressed the purple apex flames into a thin wisp and inhaled it back into his body. The incantation seal dissolved, and the radiance surrounding him faded as he ended the technique. Opening his eyes, Hanli spoke calmly. "Although the purple apex flames are formidable, their quantity is far too small for reliable use. What I truly hope for is the day I can open the Heaven Void Cauldron. If what you said about it being a divine spirit treasure is true, then with it in hand, I could sweep across the entire heavenly south and reach a realm where I would have no further worries." Silvermoon let out a sweet, confident laugh. "Please rest assured, Master. The Heaven Void Cauldron is no weaker than I claimed. If anything, it may be even more powerful." Hanli nodded, about to continue speaking, when a streak of white light suddenly shot into the room. Yingning's clear voice echoed through the air. "Marshal Senior. Han, hurry to the main hall. Senior Ma has returned, and the Mulan forces are about to arrive." As her words faded, the streak of white light swiftly flew back out. A chill crept over Hanli's expression. A cold gleam flashed through his eyes as his figure vanished from the room. When Hanli entered the main hall, Gu Shuangpu, Old Man Ma, and the large bald man were already present. Alongside them stood a hunched cultivator clad in embroidered robes, his complexion pale and sickly. Several others walked nearby. Among the core formation cultivators, there were two unfamiliar faces in addition to the four from before. They stood quietly to the side, expressions solemn and alert. Upon seeing Hanli arrive, Yingning immediately revealed a gentle smile. The large bald man forced an easy grin and spoke. "Fellow Taoist Han has arrived. Allow me to make introductions. This is fellow Taoist Bu Yunhei, formerly in charge of Sky Terrace Valley. Fellow Taoist. Bu, this is fellow Taoist Han of the Drifting Cloud Sect." Hanli's heart sank slightly upon hearing this. The situation was clearly worse than he had anticipated. Maintaining a courteous expression, Hanli clasped his hands and said, "I have long heard of fellow Taoist Bu's reputation from Brother Lu. To escape safely is no small feat, truly admirable." Already informed about Hanli, Bu Yunhei showed no surprise. Instead, he let out a bitter smile. "I have made a sorry display of myself and hardly deserve such words. Had it not been for fellow Taoist Ma's timely assistance, I fear I would not have survived." He turned toward Old Man Ma, his expression filled with gratitude. Old Man Ma chuckled lightly. It was nothing more than a trivial effort. In truth, those pursuers withdrew before I even had the chance to test my ancient treasure. Quite disappointing, really. Bu Yunhei's face tightened with lingering fear. Fellow Taoist's ancient treasure possesses terrifying might. The spell warriors naturally chose retreat rather than gamble on uncertain victory. However, this Mulan invasion is unlike those of the past. Their spell warriors are far better trained, and they are supported by ancient ferocious beasts. He paused, his voice growing heavier. These beasts are enormous, their flesh thick and tough, clad in battle armor. Numerous strange restrictions are engraved upon their bodies. When such creatures charge into a grand formation, its collapse becomes only a matter of time. A flicker of surprise crossed Han Li's face. Are you saying that even several nascent soul cultivators joining forces would be unable to slay such a beast? Though he knew the Mulan armies employed massive beasts, he had not expected them to be this formidable. After a moment's thought, Bu Yunhei's expression eased slightly. With the full might of my magic treasure, I managed to wound one. However, I was immediately beset by two high-grade spell warriors and had no chance to finish it off before the grand formation was destroyed. With reinforcements from fellow Taoist Ma and the others fellow Taoist Lu should be able to hold this formation. It should not fall as easily as Sky Terrace Valley. Gu Shuangpu spoke grimly. Fellow Taoist, Bu, how many sage-level spell warriors are there in this army? If their numbers are limited, our 5 nascent soul cultivators could strike first. Even if we fail to kill them, severely injuring 1 or 2 should still be possible. Bu Yunhei sighed. I fear I must disappoint you, Brother Gu. I personally witnessed one of those strange spell warriors mentioned earlier, accompanied by 2 sage-level spell warriors. That individual did not act, yet his aura was exceedingly bizarre, likely the result of some transformation. Furthermore, I suspect there are more high-grade spell warriors hidden within their ranks. The large bald man nodded slowly. Then it seems much remains uncertain. If they are concealing their strength, we must lure them into the grand formation. Regardless, our primary goal is simply to stall for time. Gu Shuangpu frowned, clearly displeased, but did not press the matter. Han Li and Old Man Ma likewise voiced no objections. The 2 high-grade spell warriors flanking the black-robed figure exchanged a few hushed words, seemingly discussing how best to shatter the grand formation ahead. Once their brief deliberation ended, the abnormally tall and shriveled cultivator blurred from his original position, reappearing beside the black-robed figure in a flash of azure light. Sir Heavenweep, he said respectfully, shall we begin? The grand formation here should be stronger than the previous one. I have also heard that several nascent soul cultivators are present. I fear this may take some time. There is no need for us to strike first. The black-robed spell warrior slowly shook his head. They have already chosen to reveal themselves. Let us first observe their strength before deciding our course of action. His voice was hoarse and indistinct, as though his tongue were damaged or missing altogether. The strange sound of it sent a ripple of unease through those who heard him. Hearing this, the lanky spell warrior blinked in surprise and cast his gaze downward toward the green mist below. Sure enough, a previously tranquil region of mist suddenly churned violently, splitting apart as flickers of light flashed from within. Moments later, 7 streaks of light burst forth, arcing through the sky before slowing, and revealing their forms 5 nascent soul cultivators and 2 at the core formation stage. Under the bald man's command, no low-grade cultivators followed them, with the sole exceptions being the core formation cultivators from Sky Terrace Valley and Chongshuzi. Han Li hovered in mid-air and calmly swept his gaze across the spell warrior army. Naturally, the 10 spell warriors leading the formation drew his attention, especially the sinister black-robed figure at the very front. Yet after only a brief glance, he unconsciously shifted his gaze away. The moment Han Li saw that black-robed figure, he was reminded of the bone sage Xiao Cha. Could this person also be a ghost Dao cultivator? His heart trembled slightly, and his vigilance rose sharply. Before the bone sage seized Crooked Soul's body, his physical form had been saturated with dense yin and ghostly kai. However, the aura surrounding this black-robed figure was subtly different, strange in a way Han Li could not yet put into words. As Han Li and the others emerged, the spell warriors above began to stir. Suddenly, the spell warrior entwined with the flame python transformed into a massive sphere of blazing light and shot downward toward the cultivators. Han Li and his companions merely watched in cold silence, showing not the slightest hint of panic. So long as that spell warrior was not courting death, he would never dare initiate an attack alone. As expected, the enormous fireball halted roughly 20 meters away. Even at that distance, waves of scorching heat rolled outward, causing many of the cultivators present to tense involuntarily. A silhouette emerged from within the flames, followed by a thunderous voice that shook the surrounding air. "I am Kuyao, great sage of the Fire-Right tribe. Since you have come forth, you must intend to test our strength first. How shall we compete, one-on-one or a full melee?" The bald man stared coldly at the fireball and replied in an icy tone, "One-on-one. Let the heavens decide who lives and who dies." Kuyao's wild laughter echoed from within the flames. "Excellent. That is precisely what I hoped for. I shall be the first opponent. Send someone forward." Fury flashed across the faces of the cultivators, but Old Man Ma's expression was especially grim. Killing intent surged from his eyes as his body transformed into a streak of white light and shot forward. The bald man hesitated briefly, but did not stop him, silently allowing Old Man Ma to take the first battle. From his perspective, it was unclear who among them possessed the greatest strength. Naturally, Han Li, who had only recently advanced to the nascent soul stage, had not even entered his considerations. Seeing the white streak approach, Kuyao retreated calmly. Old Man Ma followed the two, halting at a midpoint between the spell warrior army and the green mist below. In this position, neither side needed to hold back nor fear sudden interference. The bald man turned to the horse-faced cultivator and asked solemnly, "What are the abilities of this Mulan sage? Does he possess any particularly dangerous techniques?" A trace of resentment flashed across the cultivator's face as he replied, "His fire attribute techniques are terrifyingly powerful. The flame python bound to his body is especially agile. It is extremely difficult to defend against. One of Sky Terrace Valley's core formation guards was reduced to ashes after being caught by it. So that's how it is." The bald man then turned doubtfully to the side. "Brother Gu, if I recall correctly, the Grand Pavilion's Grand Righteousness arts are immune to heat and flame, as well as ghosts and demonic influences. He should hold an advantage against this spell warrior." Gu Shuangpu hesitated before replying slowly, "It is difficult to say. If these were ordinary fire attribute techniques, the Grand Righteousness arts would suppress them without issue. But if they involve the three essences of worldly spirit flames, then they may fall outside its limits." He paused, then continued gravely, "Still, fellow Taoist, Ma remains the most suitable among us. Even if the flames cannot be fully suppressed, the Grand Righteousness arts should at least resist their devilish influence. There will be no danger of inner demon backlash." Hearing this, the bald man finally felt reassured and released a long breath. Han Li's gaze drifted toward the flame python coiled within the blazing sphere. His heart stirred subtly, and a flicker of blue light flashed through his eyes. For a brief instant, a strange expression crossed his face. At that moment, Old Man Ma clasped his hands into an incantation seal. A layer of soft white radiance spread across his body, and he opened his mouth, expelling a walnut-sized speck of silver light. Caught in a sudden gust of wind, the silver speck rapidly expanded into a ruler-like treasure. It trembled violently before erupting into countless silver rays, releasing a cry reminiscent of a sacred phoenix from the highest heavens. Kuyao did not act. He merely folded his arms and stared indifferently at Old Man Ma, a mocking sneer playing on his lips. This arrogance ignited Old Man Ma's fury. He snorted coldly and resolved to strike first. At that very moment, a faint voice transmission reached his ears so soft it was nearly imperceptible, yet unmistakably clear. Old Man Ma stiffened in alarm. His gaze flicked about in confusion before finally settling on Han Li. Han Li responded with a gentle, knowing smile. With amazement and doubt intertwined in his heart, Old Man Ma turned his gaze back to Kuyao, his expression sinking. After a brief flicker of hesitation, he spoke in a low, grim voice. "That fire python of yours is no ordinary spirit beast." Kuyao paused, then sneered. "Oh, so you possess some discernment after all. My fire python is formed from a worldly fire spirit. It cannot be compared to a mere spirit beast." His body trembled slightly. Instantly the fire python erupted with brilliant red radiance and soared skyward. A horn burst forth from its head, savage claws sprouted from its body, and its form fully revealed itself, a fire flood dragon with glimmering crimson scales writhing fiercely above Kuyao's head. A transformed fire spirit. The bald man cried out in shock. Gu Shuangpu's expression immediately turned grim. Old Man Ma's heart sank. To refine and transform a fire spirit, This was far beyond what an ordinary nascent soul stage spell warrior could achieve. A fierce and perilous battle awaited him. With that realization, Old Man Ma abandoned his original plan of holding back 70% of his strength. Drawing a deep breath, he swept his sleeve wide, summoning a treasure wreathed in rainbow light. It circled above his head once, before stopping a meter overhead. At once, both the cultivators below and the spell warriors in the distance watched intently. Any treasure capable of emitting rainbow light was undoubtedly extraordinary. Hanley also glanced over. The item was round and slender, a faintly yellow scroll nearly a meter in length. Facing Ku Yao, it slowly unfurled as Old Man Ma began chanting an incantation in a solemn voice, revealing an ordinary 8-trigram diagram upon its surface. Old Man Ma struck the scroll with a simple spell seal. The scroll flared brilliantly, and astonishing fluctuations surged forth from the diagram. The moment Ku Yao sensed those fluctuations, his expression changed. Knowing danger was imminent, he immediately pointed forward. The fire flood dragon above his head opened its jaws, spewing an endless torrent of scarlet flames that instantly engulfed Old Man Ma and the 8-trigram diagram in a vast sea of fire. The bald man and the others immediately grew anxious upon seeing Old Man Ma swallowed by the raging sea of flames. However, deep down they all understood that Old Man Ma would not have revealed that scroll without reason. Sure enough, Old Man Ma stood safely within the inferno. His hands were locked in an incantation seal, the scroll fully unfurled before him. Pulses of white light surged outward, accompanied by howling gales. From the scroll erupted a towering pillar of white wind, sweeping across a radius of more than 30 meters. The surrounding flames were effortlessly scattered, torn apart, as if they were nothing more than drifting embers. With a furious roar, Old Man Ma thrust forward. A streak of silver light shot forth from within the wind pillar, cutting straight toward Ku Yao, utterly ignoring the fire flood dragon hovering above him. Clearly, Old Man Ma understood that so long as he could wound Ku Yao, the spirit-linked fire flood dragon would suffer a drastic decline in power. Ku Yao curled his lips slightly. With a casual wave of his arm, a translucent flying saber shimmered into existence in his palm, blazing with scarlet radiance. The saber flashed forward, intercepting the silver streak mid-air. Red and silver light collided violently, intertwining as they neutralized each other. A cold gleam flickered through Ku Yao's eyes. He flipped his hands and summoned 2-inch-long crimson flags, tossing them into the air. With a violent gust of wind, they instantly expanded to 3 meters in height. As Ku Yao chanted an obscure incantation, the flags burst with red radiance. 2 thick pillars of flame erupted and converged upon the horn of the fire flood dragon, producing a vast cloud of seething fire. Go! Ku Yao abruptly ended his incantation and exhaled a stream of red qi toward the fire flood dragon. The dragon let out an excited roar, plunging into the fire cloud. The flames instantly turned crimson, roiling violently. Yet moments later, the cloud began to shrink rapidly. Below, Han Li narrowed his eyes, blue light flickering within his pupils. Through the bright sight spirit eyes, he saw the truth with astonishment. The fire flood dragon was greedily devouring the fire cloud without restraint. In the blink of an eye, the cloud was completely consumed. The fire flood dragon swelled dramatically, expanding to over 30 meters in length. Its head, now the size of a small building, loomed menacingly as its fangs gleamed with savage intent. At the same moment, the surging pillar of white wind fully dispersed the remaining flames, revealing Old Man Ma standing resolutely within. Clutching the 8-trigram scroll, Old Man Ma coldly regarded the enormous flood dragon for a brief instant before abruptly flinging the scroll skyward. Wrapped in rainbow light, it shot upward like a streaking comet and vanished into the heavens as though reaching for the firmament itself. Ku Yao blinked in surprise. In that brief hesitation, he sensed strange fluctuations of spiritual qi descending from above. Thin rays of rainbow light poured down from the sky, rapidly forming a colossal 8-trigram formation over 100 meters wide, entirely enveloped in radiant hues. With unstoppable momentum, it crashed downward. Ku Yao's expression changed drastically. Without the slightest hesitation, he pointed sharply upward. The fire flood dragon reared its head and spat a blazing scarlet beam that slammed into the underside of the formation. The formation trembled faintly, but did not slow in the slightest. His face turning pale, Ku Yao hastily rubbed his hands together before thrusting them upward. A dense barrage of countless fist-sized fireballs erupted into the sky. Han Li's heart stirred at the sight. These were not talismans, but techniques formed directly from Ku Yao's cultivation. Spell warrior spirit techniques were far superior to ordinary elemental Taoist arts, vastly more efficient and devastating in true combat. As Han Li's thoughts drifted, the countless fireballs crashed against the descending formation like a meteor shower. Yet even this assault proved futile. The 8-trigram diagram continued its descent at terrifying speed, enveloping Ku Yao and his fire flood dragon entirely. From the outside, neither the cultivators nor the spell warriors could see Ku Yao any longer. Only the enormous 8-trigram formation remained, slowly revolving as thunderous light pulsed across its surface. Old Man Ma showed no sign of triumph. Instead, he solemnly sat cross-legged in mid-air hands, forming an incantation seal as soft white radiance coiled around his body. At that very moment, the massive diagram seemed to merge completely with its rainbow glow, releasing deafening peals of thunder as light flickered violently across its surface. The shriveled spell warrior's face tightened with worry. Turning toward the black-robed figure, he asked respectfully, "Sir Heavenweep, will Sage Ku Yao be safe? If the situation turns dangerous, we need not honor the one-on-one agreement. We can intervene and rescue him." It is truly unbelievable that a nascent soul cultivator possesses such a strange ancient treasure. The black-robed figure let out a soft laugh. "There is no need for concern," he said casually. "Although the Supreme 8-trigram diagram is indeed formidable, this cultivator has yet to grasp its true method of use. He is merely forcing spiritual power into the treasure." His tone dripped with disdain. "This method will not hold fellow Taoist Ku for long. Such brute usage consumes an enormous amount of magic power. Foolish. Still, it is no surprise few in this remote heavenly south know how to properly wield such a rare ancient treasure." The shriveled spell warrior finally relaxed, abandoning his plan to organize a rescue. As for the bald man and the others, their expressions were a mixture of joy and worry. They had been exhilarated upon seeing the spell warrior trapped within the 8-trigram formation, but Old Man Ma's strained expression and the strange, intermittent sounds erupting from within the formation made it clear the battle was far from over. In truth, Old Man Ma was silently cursing without end. He had only recently acquired this treasure, and had previously used it solely against core formation cultivators, against whom it had been utterly overwhelming. None had survived. Yet now Ku Yao's relentless attacks, combined with the fire flood dragon's ferocious assaults, were repeatedly disrupting the formation. Stabilizing these disturbances drained immense amounts of spiritual power from the diagram. For a time, the battlefield grew eerily calm. Aside from muffled explosions echoing from within the formation, silence reigned. Unease spread across the faces of the Heavenly South cultivators. Only Han Li remained composed, watching the unfolding battle with steady eyes. From deep within his consciousness, Silvermoon clicked her tongue in disappointment. That fellow Taoist Ma is truly overexerting the Supreme 8-trigram diagram. That ancient treasure is no weaker than the purple cloud lace. Han Li's expression did not change as he asked inwardly, "Supreme 8-trigram diagram. You know this ancient treasure?" "Of course," Silvermoon replied swiftly. "It was once a renowned ancient treasure. However, this particular one appears to be of inferior quality. Otherwise, that spell warrior would already be dead, even with such crude usage. A high-quality 8-trigram diagram would not consume magic power at such a rate." After a brief hesitation, Han Li asked, "If a low-quality diagram can display such power, then what could a high-quality one achieve? And when you say the purple cloud lace is no weaker, does that mean it requires a special method to unleash its true strength?" Silvermoon smiled. "The purple cloud lace isn't nearly as troublesome. Simply pour spiritual power into it. As for the Jadison True Fire, it only takes a few attempts to master." Han Li fell silent. He raised his gaze toward the sky once more, frowning slightly. Not good. A colossal explosion ripped through the air. The 8-trigram diagram suddenly warped its structure, violently distorting. Countless beams of red light burst outward, shredding through the formation. Almost simultaneously, explosions rang out from one corner of the diagram. A raging ball of flames shot 30 meters into the air before dissipating, revealing Ku Yao standing atop the fire flood dragon, his complexion blood red. The flood dragon had already shrunk back to a mere 3 meters, its aura vastly weakened. Nearby, Old Man Ma was in no better condition. His face was deathly pale, his eyes dull with exhaustion. Gritting his teeth, he waved his arm toward the shattered diagram. In a flash of rainbow light, it shot back into the sky, shrinking rapidly before returning to his hand once more in the form of a scroll.